The 2025 season had ended in violence, chaos, podium migrations, and political firestorms. Aprilia roared, KTM limped, Yamaha experimented, Ducati split in two internally. Riders crashed, resurrected, collapsed, resurfaced. And yet, when the paddock rolled into the postseason test, the entire place behaved like the sport had unlocked a fresh start, free of ghosts. Like history had no teeth. Like 2025's apex predator wasn't sitting at home recovering. Like the alien in the room didn't exist. Nobody declared Marc Marquez done. Nobody dared speak that stupidity out loud. The man just won the 2025 title with 5 rounds remaining. 8 wins in 9 races across the middle of the season. A comeback so violent it rewrote the sport's collective memory. No, they didn't say he was done. They just acted like he was irrelevant to 2026. That's far more insulting, because silence can be sharper than slander. The mechanics buzzed around the test, teams set up aero racks, manufacturers rolled out 2026 experimental parts like children showing paintings to their parents. Toprak and touched the V4 Yamaha for the first time. Pedro Acosta stood tall with that cold, coiled confidence. Bezzecchi floated between engineers like the new architect of Noale's ambition. Quartararo carried that mix of frustration and hunger. Aprilia strutted like the final races without mark or proof of permanence. And then there was Pecco, the only rider who didn't join the delusion. He didn't talk loud. He didn't celebrate early. He didn't pretend the grid was clean. He knew. He felt it in his bones, because he has lived under that shadow longer than anyone here. Marc Marquez destroys optimism. Marc Marquez bends championships. Marc Marquez takes seasons that look wide open and folds them into his palm. Everyone around Pecco acted like 2026 was a new doorway. Pecco knew it was a countdown. The Valencia test was supposed to preview the future. Instead, it exposed the grid's amnesia. And the question that stalks the air now, why did everyone pretend the alien factor didn't exist, except the one rider who has experienced it firsthand? Comment your first reaction. The 2026 MotoGP storyline began before the 2025 season even cooled. Engineers ran simulations, factories drafted blueprints, riders trained through December like soldiers prepping for an invasion. All of them chasing the same illusion, that the king isn't the center anymore. The grid did not disrespect Marc Marquez with words. They disrespected him with comfort. Not arrogance, not confidence, comfort. That soft, dangerous warmth that comes when the monster is momentarily off-screen. The grid's false hope started with a test day. Toprak and showed up with aura. He braked deep. He attacked the Yamaha V4 like it was prey. His 18th on the timesheets meant nothing. The paddock swallowed the theater. They rallied around a dream. Maybe Toprak is the new chaos. Maybe his style breaks the grid. Maybe this is the future. He is a giant, a spectacular talent, a magnetic showman. But the delusion wasn't Toprak's. It belonged to the people who thought his existence erased Marc Marquez from the 2026 equation. Toprak hasn't even shared a last-lap duel with Marc yet. He hasn't felt the air pressure change when 93 leans alongside him. He hasn't learned what everyone from Lorenzo to Dovi to Rossi to Espargaro learned. Marc Marquez doesn't race you. He dismantles your identity. Toprak will shine, but he will shine only if he beats the alien, not if the alien is absent from a test. Pedro Acosta, the second coming, they want a fast track. Nobody was louder in Valencia than the believers of Acosta, the prince of KTM, the natural-born predator, the kid who looks like he was built in a lab. Yes, Acosta will be champion one day. Yes, he is exceptional. Yes, he is the future, but he is not the present. He has not taken a win. He has not beaten Marc Marquez in direct combat. He has not survived the psychological gravity of facing someone who bends the track to his will. The grid talks as if Acosta's rise automatically fills the vacuum. But you cannot inherit a throne from a king who never surrendered it. Pecco, the only one who remembers reality, it wasn't fear. It was memory. Pecco remembers 2025. He remembers Mark on the GP25. He remembers races where he fought for rhythm while Mark harvested victories as if Ducati had built the bike for him alone. Pecco understands the alien factor better than anyone on Earth. Mark does not get tired at 32. Mark does not slow down. Mark does not lose aura because of injury. Mark does not fade because the grid wants a new story. Pecco's silence wasn't resignation. It was realism. He didn't talk like 2026 was his redemption. He talked like a man preparing for war. Aprilia, the illusion of momentum. Bezzecchi soared at the end of 2025. Martin healed. The RSGP looked like a blade under moonlight. Aprilia felt unstoppable. Their mistake wasn't confidence. It was context. Their late-season domination occurred without Marc Marquez on track. That is not a metric. That is a mirage. The grid is training for the wrong future. The factories trained for speed. The riders trained for talent. The engineers trained for aero. But 2026 will not be won by talent alone. It will not be won by testing form. It will not be won by aero maps. It will be won by the one thing teams refuse to calculate, the alien factor of Marc Marquez when he is ignored. Are they preparing bikes for each other? Or preparing excuses for when Marc returns? Comment below. The Valencia test wasn't embarrassing because people talked about Toprak, Acosta, Aprilia, and Pecco. It was embarrassing because they acted like Marc wasn't the gravitational center of everything they do. Again, nobody said Marc was done. They simply behaved like he didn't matter. That is the collapse. The collapse of awareness. The collapse of caution. The collapse of understanding what an alien actually is. Marc Marquez is not feared because he is fast. He is feared because he changes the behavior of everyone around him. He makes championship contenders ride like rookies. He makes factories rewrite plans mid-season. He forces engineers to rebuild entire concepts. He makes riders overbrake, overthink, and overheat their tires. He creates pressure that suffocates reputations. Removing Marc from a test day does not remove Marc from the universe. But the paddock acted like a day without him was a day without consequences. Toprak's shadow of expectation. Toprak dazzled as expected. His entry angles, his brake markers, his swagger, the trust in the front tire. The paddock loved all of it, but none of it answers one question. Can he survive Marc Marquez wheel to wheel? Nobody brought it up. Nobody asked it. Nobody dared say it. That silence is collapse. Pedro Acosta. The boy they want to crown early, Acosta walked through Valencia like he belonged. And he does. But the paddock spoke about him like he filled the vacuum Marc left behind. Wrong. You cannot fill a vacuum that isn't real. Marc didn't create a void. He created anticipation. The prince does not become king until he conquers the monster the kingdom fears. Pecco, the only man who doesn't believe the hype. Pecco didn't smile at the microphones. He didn't predict 2026. He didn't inflate hopes. He knows the equation. If Marc Marquez shows up healthy in 2026, the Ducati factory seat belongs to the one who comes closest to him, not the one with the cleanest test day. Pecco is not afraid of Marc. He is shaped by Marc. Here is the cold truth. Marc Marquez is not threatened by the 2026 hype. He is fed by it. His shoulder is healing. His arm is strong. His mentality is sharper than it was in 2019. His team is unified. His bike is an apex weapon. His hunger is intact. But the real warning isn't physical. It's psychological. Marc Marquez is entering 2026 with the most dangerous motivation possible. Not revenge. Not proof. Not validation. Not legacy. But something far simpler, amusement. He watched the Valencia test like a king, observing his court gossip while he sharpened a blade under the table. He didn't feel threatened. He felt entertained. That is the deadliest version of a champion. A relaxed alien. A rested alien. A forgotten alien. The grid thinks 2026 is a blank page. But MotoGP pages are written in one color. 93 red. The alien factor isn't a myth. It isn't history. It isn't psychology. It is architecture. The sport is built around Marc Marquez. Its rivalries bend around him. Its future stars sharpen themselves for him. Its factories plan for him. Its fans judge talent by comparing it to him. Marc doesn't shape MotoGP because he wants to. He shapes it because nobody else can. That's why no rider felt the pressure at Valencia. Because pressure doesn't exist when the source is off track. Pecco knew the truth. Everyone else lived a fantasy. And now 2026 is the wake-up call. Next season isn't Toprak versus Acosta versus Pecco. It's them versus Marquez's gravity. This analysis ends exactly where the story begins. They didn't say the king was finished. They simply forgot he decides who gets to shine. From now, where does this put them? The time will tell us. Comment below. Subscribe for more savage breakdowns.